Here we are again. Jack Daniels bringing you another episode of This Life Ain't For Everybody. Enjoy it responsibly. Never allow underage drinking. The Tennessee sensation, the sour mash whiskey. I've had it with me on so many trips, so many duck camps. I talk about how Jack has been a good friend. Everything in moderation, never abusing it, but I love it. I love what they stand for. I love the history. I love the tradition. I love the recipe. I love the people associated with the entire Jack Daniels culture and family. So thank you for being a part of our TV shows and our podcast, Jack Daniels. I'm fired up for today's episode. We're coming at you straight out of Music City, USA, 16th, 17th Avenue. Music Row is what they call it. This is Nashville. This is where the hits come out of. This is where Tootsie's is. This is where Broadway is. This is where my guest today lives now. He was born and raised in the great state of Alabama. And when I heard this dude sing, I was like, good night. I don't know. I mean, I can compare him to a few people, but a lot of like guys that I grew up listening to, I think probably influenced this man. I'm going to get into that a little bit today, but he sings a cover version of one of my friend Adam Hood's songs that y'all have heard on our show called Tennessee Will. And I don't know if I would tell Adam that this man did it better, but he did it just as good. Would that be fair to say to Adam? I don't know if that would piss Adam Hood off or not if he said that, because Adam Hood's a bad son of a bitch. Am I right? Yes, Charlie Argo, am I right?
100%, man.
Charlie, thank you for being here.
Thank you, man. Appreciate you having me on the show.
Yeah, man. I was trying to talk to the Sweet Tea Girls about how to define your music, like what box to put it into. What box would you put it into?
Well, if they gave you one, then I'd like to go talk to them, because I really don't know.
We couldn't come up with one.
Man, a lot of people ask me that, and that's a question I think a lot of people get asked here in Nashville is what genre are you, especially these days, because you've got your older crowd that's like, well, that ain't country, that ain't this and that. It was like, well, I don't know what I am then, but I like to say that my roots are gospel roots. Grew up in the church singing, so a lot of the soulfulness to that too, and a lot of feeling, but also grew up around the classic country music and the blues music and stuff too. So I like to classify it as Southern soul. That's kind of how I classify it.
So when you write or record or perform live, are you putting every ounce of Charlie Argo into that delivery?
100%.
Every time?
Yes.
Is that what separates the greats from the going through anything in life, right? I mean, if you do it with passion and love and respect, obviously, but you put that soul into it, you can really hear that in your music when it comes out. And it's almost, when I mentioned the song Tennessee Will, that's a soulful song. Like that's not just a soul song. That hits you in the soul when you hear it. Yes. The part about Memphis, the musicians down on Bill Street, or whatever Adam was thinking when he was pinning that. Is it easy for you to hear that song and want to cover it, even though you're not a writer on it? Because is it, in today's world of music, it seems like I hear that a lot also, Charlie, of, well, if I didn't write it, I mean, a lot of people want to sing songs that they're on. There are artists out there that have no problem writing a song that they could have written or they could see themselves writing. Could you have seen yourself writing Tennessee Will?
I could have. And that's one of the biggest reasons why I, reached out to Adam in the first place for that. I've known Adam for years, and, growing up in Alabama, and you've always heard Adam Hood's name. And then I went to school in Tuscaloosa at the university there, and Adam, living close by there, by Tuscaloosa in Northport. And I've always listened to his music. That song has always stuck out to me as one that I'm just like, man, I've always wanted to do that song, and it was weird because I never knew exactly what I wanted on it, but I know that I wanted to push a little bit more and put my spin on it. I love his version. Absolutely love his version. It's in my top 5 favorite songs of all time. Truly.
Wow, that's saying a lot.
It is.
Of Adam Hood songs or all songs?
Of all songs.
Wow, good for Adam then.
So it's always been one of my favorite songs.
What makes him so special?
Just the way Adam tells a story. To me, I think Adam, and what you said earlier about kind of putting in a box, I don't think Adam sounds like anybody. I think Adam sounds like Adam Hood, and that's one of my biggest things that I have to say about him for sure. That he's different. The way he writes, the way he, delivers is totally different. And I think that, I have kind of the same qualities as far as the delivery. I've had people tell me, that, you just sing that a little bit differently. And I always thought that was a flaw, to be honest with you, the way I phrase things or the way I sing things. And especially, doing cover shows or anything back in the day in college, people would say, hey, man, you did that song, but you didn't do it just right. There's something weird about it. You sang it a little bit different. So I always thought that they were, critiquing me in a way that it was flawed. But, I found the beauty in that. And I also see the beauty in that when I see other artists do the same thing.
So I want to ask you this before we get into your career and the new album and the new EP and the new songs. I always talk to people on these shows, and I don't know how many episodes you've ever listened to, but I always talk about Brent and Adam. I always talk about Brent Cobb.
Yeah.
And I always talk about Adam Hood, mainly because I feel the world deserves and needs to hear their music, whether it's the lyric or the presentation. I've always thought that of Adam with what you're saying about his delivery. I got into Adam after I got into Brent Cobb's career and library and what his entire catalog is. But I've never heard either one of them deliver a bad song. Like I can literally listen to their entire catalog. Yep. Is it called a catalog or a library?
Catalog.
Is it okay to call it a library or is it just a catalog? I've always asked.
Catalog of songs.
Catalog. Yeah. I don't skip one. And I'm wondering why more people in the world have not heard their music. And I understand your answer could be, well, with streaming now, but I'm talking about hearing their music. These are some badasses, right? Yeah. I'm not trying to take the attention off of anything any other artists have done, but these two are very, very, very special artists. Would you agree with this?
I agree with that 100%, and I agree that their chemistry, too, is something that I would almost put on the same lines as you go see brothers or a family perform. You can't recreate that. And I tell people that all the time. You go see two brothers singing and their harmonies or this and that or sisters or whatever. You can't recreate that. You can't find that anywhere a lot of times. But I think that they're one of those really rare things that when they come together songwriting, they create some magic stuff.
So if you had to sit down and ask yourself or tell yourself that you were going to do the same thing with a Brent Cobb song like you did with Adam Hood's Tennessee Will, because you said it a long time ago, I want to do that song. Even though you did put your own spin on it, which is beautiful what you did with it, what song would that be off the top of your head that Brent has? Is there one that comes to mind? Could you do Shine on Rainy Day and just kill it with it like Brent did? Because that song's special.
That's hard. Shine on Rainy Day is that, I would put that up there. Gosh. It's so hard to say that and say, like, could you do it, No, I couldn't, but I could do it the way that I do it. And that's kind of how I viewed Tennessee Will, I had a buddy of mine, one of my best friends that introduced me to Adam back when we started playing music and stuff back in Tuscaloosa. And he's the one that, started showing me Adam's music and this and that. And he even said the same thing. I told him, I said, hey man, I want to talk to Adam about cutting that song. He was like, man, you got to put it into if you're going to cut that song. I mean, that's not just asking him. I said, man, I promise you I will. I said, I just want to get with him and talk about that. But it wasn't anything I was trying to take away from Adam or anything like that. I love the song, and I mean, I couldn't take away from him if I tried, but it's just that, I don't know. I just think I did a totally different version of that. But I think Shut on Rainy Day would be.
What is it about that song? I almost cry every time. I mean, I have cried listening to it, Charlie.
Right.
But I almost cry. I cry almost every time I listen to it, and I've heard it thousands of times.
Right.
I've often told people I can't go to bed at night without hearing at least one Brent Cobb song during my day. And that's big time for me because that's what his music does to me. But I just always like to run it by other artists like yourselves because it seems like he's got a huge amount, and so does Adam, of respect in the industry. It's almost like that Jamie Johnson presence where, Jamie does have some number ones within Color, and, that Lonesome Song is one of the best albums of all time, in my opinion. Another Alabama Boy. Yep. But as far as the respect he has from Christofferson and Merle before he passed, Waylon, Willie, who he just did, he did Charlie Daniels in the volunteer jam every year. He was invited to play in the band the whole time. George Strait's worked with him. It's almost like he's got that respect, right? Where the people that get it want him on their team. And it seems to me like that's kind of what people think about Brent Cobb and Adam Hood because they have such mad talent. Is that fair to say?
Yes. I agree with you on that.
And I just have always like to ask artists if I'm on the same page as them about their talent level, because when I heard you do Tennessee Will, I was like, damn, who is this freaking guy? Like, it was like one of those things to where and then I started listening to all of your songs on that new album, and I was like, you have that sound and that delivery that sets you apart from other people. And I just thought it was a cool correlation that you chose Tennessee Will, because that's not an easy song, the way that Adam does that song. Like,
not at all.
When I hear that song, I think of some blues singer in B.B. King's on Bill Street playing that song, and Adam delivers it like, wow, that's a little white kid from Alabama.
Right.
Just hammering it. Would you mind doing that for us?
No.
Do you have?
I sure will.
Please. I got it. I want to hear this one, and we'll do one more at the end. But the way you hit
Was there
this
a pig
song.
somewhere?
Yeah, I got
it.
it.
I think there was one on the floor
Right
or something
here.
somewhere. Yes, sir.
Tennessee Will, performed by Charlie Argo, written by Adam Hood.
Blind man on an old upright piano, lady in red on a mandolin, playing songs like old Susanna, and getting slower with each gin. So catch a ride on a steamboat, baby. Take me home with time to kill. The Mississippi River don't carry me to you. I know that the Tennessee will. Well, I never did believe in Memphis. It really never was the end of the line, yeah. So I'm going back home to Alabama, yeah. Girl, where my heart's been all the time. And I know it should be easy, yeah, yeah. But it's hard for me to say goodbye, baby, so I'll catch a ride on a steamboat, baby. Take me home with time to kill. The Mississippi River don't carry me to you. I know that the Tennessee will. Oh, yeah. And I know it should be easy, yeah, yeah. But it's hard for me to say goodbye, baby, so I'll catch a ride on a steamboat, babe. Take it home with time to kill. The Mississippi River don't carry me to you. I know that the Tennessee will, yeah. Oh, now carry me home to my baby. Yeah, I wanna go home, 'cause I know that the Tennessee will.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Thank you, man.
Now, when you said that the way that Hood can tell a story, did you move to Nashville, Tennessee from Alabama to be a singer-songwriter?
I did.
Was it a goal, a dream, and was it something that was the sacrifice was there and you were all in?
I was not a songwriter before I moved to Nashville. I moved to Nashville about 4.5 years ago. I was playing in the bars in Tuscaloosa, around college town there. Did that for about 2 years full time, and I decided, I was going to pack up. I was going to move to actually moved from Tuscaloosa to Columbus, Georgia. Followed a girl there, and ended up, not working out there in a short period of time, about probably 3 months. I was going through a job training to start a full-time job there, and I was going to do music on the side. And I said, I've always wanted to move to Nashville, so I packed up all my stuff and just bit the bullet. And I don't like change. I'm not someone that just, can pack up and move like that. But I did it. And I've always said I wanted to go to Nashville. I almost came to Belmont for college, wanted to do that, but I ended up going to university, which was great. Had a great time, but I've always wanted to be here. I only visited once. Second time I visited, I moved all my stuff up here. Moved into my buddy's basement out in Antioch. And, long story short, he housed me for a minute. Then I got my own apartment, got on my feet, started a full-time job here and just playing music, playing on Broadway. I wasn't writing or anything like that. And my buddy that I moved in with, he was like, man, you need to start writing. He's like, you're up here now. You need to start getting connected with people. Let's start writing. So I did, man, and I haven't stopped and ended up getting enough songs to 2 years later, 2.5 years later, getting my EP started with producer Jay Took that I met through someone and through a buddy. And he really just transformed those songs into, what the EP is. But to answer your question, yes, I moved up here to play music. I didn't necessarily move up to be a singer-songwriter, but it's morphed into that. And the connections I've made, with Ben and other artists as well, and getting right with Brent, and just it's been surreal, and it's been awesome. And looking forward to the full-length album that I'm working on now.
So when you say that you weren't a songwriter,
I'd written one song before I moved to Nashville.
And now you've written how many?
Oh, man. I mean, probably 60, 70 under my belt in the 4 years that I've been here.
And obviously those are co-writes.
Yeah, some of them are solo. Yeah.
So a song like In the Name of Love that's on the new EP, you pinned this with a co-write, or is this a song you did on your own?
The In the Name of Love song, it was actually, we had the most writers on that one. It was 4 writers on that one.
I love that song.
Awesome.
But how do you know when a song's done? That I've always asked myself with songwriters, like whether it's you or listening to any song, like how do you know when it's done? Is it a hard thing to put a stamp on? Because I've heard some songwriters go, "Oh, wrote that in 20 minutes on a couch, and it was done."
You know when you know.
You just know.
I mean, that's Because of You. One of the shortest songs on the EP that I have. One of the most heartfelt songs. I always knew it wasn't done. It wasn't done until I actually went through that portion of life to write that third verse. I was in a very, very dark time in my life. I just moved up here. I was, just going crazy. And I was in my feelings, sat on the edge of my bed, literally wrote what came to mind, put the guitar down, worked on it a couple of times, brought it up in a couple of writes. No one ever, really never hit with anyone. Then I got into, 3 years later, I got into a relationship, and I picked that song back up, and I was in a different state of mind, and I was able to write 2.5 years later, I was able to write the third verse and complete the song. I knew it was done. There was no question about it.
Now, when you say you're up here in a dark part of your life,
yeah.
Were you scared?
Yeah. Oh, of course.
Were you lonely?
Yes.
Were you depressed?
Yes. All of the above.
So you're a young man, you're talented, you're educated, you're a hard worker, you're raised right, but you still have all these emotions because of this city. Because this city will get you.
Oh, 100%.
Does it still get you now? Even though you might not be in the darkest of spots, you got a relationship, you said, you're singing, you're meeting Ben, all these songwriters. Does it have a tendency to go back there once in a while?
I think I get me more than the city gets me. You know what I mean? It's me being in my head about a lot of things that are going on. One of the rules I made to myself whenever I moved to Nashville and got, 3 years under my belt, started really, really pushing my original career, started pushing my brand, pushing who I was. One of the biggest things I told myself, man, was mind your business. It's going to get you the furthest. Mind your own business. And by that, I tell myself that daily. Looking at someone else's progress, looking at someone else to where you perceive that they are because of social media, where you perceive that they are because of this and that, their streams on, it's so easy to see everything that I can pull up Spotify and tell you how many streams somebody has on one song. That's easy to see. And yeah, I could look at that and I could be discouraged as hell about it, but I have to remind myself all the time, man, mind your business, stay in your lane. And focus on not just the big goal, but the stepping stones along the way to get there. Because one thing that I've really, really found that is that helps me with being successful in my definition of being successful is really following those stepping stones, not just leaping for that goal. The end goal of whatever it may be. I want to sell out an arena. I want to play. I want to start selling out venues around here, like whatever it may be. Celebrate the small victories, celebrate the small stepping stones, make big deals out of them, show that gratitude towards it, and before you know it, those stepping stones have led to what you generally want in life. And I say that that's true, and I say that that works because it's worked for me so far as, you know, following those and really celebrating those to open that up to more and more of those smaller victories.
Let me ask you this. One of the things that I've heard about your reputation is that you're a very nice person. I also hear this about Brent Cobb a lot, that he's a very nice person. Very down to earth. First thing Sweet Tea said about Brent Cobb, just down to earth, easy to talk to, even with his success.
I agree with that, yeah.
When you're going through those dark times, and I know Brent's been there, Brent's educated me on what it means to be depressed and lonely and not being afraid of the dark, even though you shouldn't be ashamed to be afraid of the dark, because we all get in that dark spot once in a while. How does a man or woman in their mindset, Charlie Argo, educate me on this? How do you stay nice? How do you stay optimistic to where you don't let that angst or that angriness come out and maybe potentially take it out on somebody, or let it get to the point to where you turn into an asshole? You know, it happens, right? It's happened to me before, to where I let it go too far, to where you let it change the person that you were raised to be and the way your mom and dad brought you up, because of not staying in your lane, saying, oh my gosh, I'm not where I need to be, or I'm getting beat, or my competition's better than me, or why is he getting all the deals, and why is she so much more prettier on social media than me? We all face it. How do you stay nice? How does a person wake up and just still continue to treat everybody with the respect that they deserve? Because I think that that's a big part of staying in your lane and minding your business and respecting people and treating them the right way.
Right. I agree with you. And it goes back to first grade when my teacher had it written above the chalkboard, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And we had to recite it every day. And that stuck with me. And that's such a cliche thing to say, but it's so true. You know, I want people to be nice to me. I've always been that, you know, type of emotional type person, to where, like, you know, I would get in my feelings really bad when someone would say something or this and that. So I always sought after just, you know, trying to be nice to people, just giving to them what I would want in return at all times, no matter the circumstance of what's going on, man. Life's a gift. It truly is. And you ask, like, you know, what kind of makes you shine the light through depression or anything like that? It's a mindset. Everything that I talk about, it's always going to be that. And it's something that I've had to train my mind to do, because I have dealt with depression severely. You know, it runs in the family, quote unquote. But, you know, I feel like that you can beat that. I feel like that there are ways to beat that by exercising your mind, exercising things like that. But to know that life is a gift, it truly is. And whenever you wrap your mind around that life is given to us, you know, that changes a lot of things. That changes a lot of outlook on the little small things that you worry about, the little small things that you get anxiety about, and just puts it in a whole different light, especially to me.
So do you, when you think about that saying of staying in your lane, I've known artists that have actually had to delete an account because they did not want to continue to look at it. Mm-hmm. That's one way to stay in your lane, is to quit looking at it, quit believing the hype. Everybody's living their best life and smiling, and everybody's an influencer and an ambassador, and they're doing this on social medias and streaming and being able to see the downloads. It's changed the game. Do you find yourself chasing the dream? Or when you say staying in your lane, Charlie Argo, do you mean that you wake up every day with a short-term goal, and you're going to, when you said stepping stones is another way to say that, a short-term goal, and you're going to knock that one off of the list and you're going to continue to climb? Do you find yourself ever losing patience still? Do you ever go, oh my God, something's got to happen? Do you ever get in a hurry?
Of course, I'm a human. So I do. And whenever I first started this, like I told you, the journey of just doing my original thing, I started out when I moved here. I started working for Walmart, and I was a manager in the store, assistant manager in the store. I got promoted a year and 8 months later to having 21 stores here in town. So I was running 21 stores, the fresh areas of 21 stores here in town, and also doing my music on the side. I got displaced from my job this past summer. When I did, my buddy that I told you I moved in with when I first moved here, he's now my manager, and his name is Sean. And whenever I lost my job, me and Sean were kind of sitting around. He was like, well, man, you ready to do this music thing? I was like, well, I got anything else to do right now? So yeah. He's like, let's do it. He said, we're going to treat it like a business. He's like, You're used to getting up and you're used to being on phone calls at 8 a.m. So we're going to get up and we're going to get on a phone call every morning at 8 a.m. So what we did, man, is we built a team. We built a team with a social media person, everything that you need to help out. And it just happened to be that it was just great friends of mine that really, believe in what I'm doing and just really hope that one day it'll all kind of come back around. And I take care of everyone I can and this and that. But anyways, we started literally treating it as a business. And whenever I say that, those little stepping stones, we write them down as an agenda for the day, for the week, for the month. We have a 30, 60, 90-day plan. I know what I'm going to be posting on social media in 90 days because of the plan that we've put down for that. We put as it gets closer to that 30-day mark, we get more specific with those, those things that we're going to post or the things that we're going to do or where we want to be. We have goals that we want to be. We want to be to this many followers in this amount of time. And that really kind of takes away from the worry and the anxiety and what you said about getting discouraged about it. It takes away from that because I always have something to look forward to. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah.
So that really helps out a lot.
So when you're treating it like a business and you have a chain of command, you have accountability, you have goals, you have an ROI now to look at. Like, we're going to invest this much time in it. We're going to figure out, when is our ROI going to come? The timeline is very important. Everything in life is timing, right? If you think about it, the timing is going to really set the precedence of what happens when, obviously. And it might not be the right time for this song right now, but it could be the right time for a live video to go out. It could be the right time for you to go give a speaking engagement. And that's the thing about what I like hearing what you're saying is that it is a business. It's in a lot of things in life. If you structure it like that, life is hard. And then you mix on top of that trying to live a dream. This is a dream life. I told the Sweet Tea Girls, like, being a country music or a Southern soul music star is a hard goal to achieve.
It's a dream. You're exactly right.
So let me ask you this, Charlie Argo. When do you know you've achieved it? What is the end game? Do you have to have that Grammy in your hand? Do you have to sell out 10,000 seats, or is 1,200 okay? Is 40 okay? Is just a few downloads okay? When you're trying to develop revenue and you have this team, there's artists out there that have put together 150 man crews on concert tours and management and, the roadies and guitar techs and sound techs and audio video and all of that stuff. There's artists that employ a lot of people pre-COVID. A lot of them lost it in COVID, which shows you that you can't take it for granted. And we got humbled pretty good in the last year. But when do you know that you've made it, or what is the end game?
You asked, is 40 seats the end game? Is it, whatever is an arena? And the answer is yes. That's those stepping stones. That 40, I've made it. I've made it to that. What's next? What's next in that 90-day, mindset? What's next for me? Once I make it again, and I make it again, and I never stop making it. So I really, honestly, I don't have an end goal in mind to walk up on stage and get a Grammy. That's a stepping stone to me. The sky's the limit. People have reached it. People have reached, maximum of what they could ever do, man. It's like, see people like Luke Holmes and stuff just busting out. And then, he's at the top of the game, beating records that Garth Brooks set that I didn't think anybody could ever, beat. Morgan Wallen, all them now that are doing that. And it's just like, in such a short period of time too, but putting yourself out there, man, and just, like I said, I think those 40 seat venues selling that thing out is a stepping stone, and that is an end goal for me. Not end per se like the dead end, but that's an end goal for me is that one moves on and then we move forward. But you mentioned COVID, like humbling us out, but what a weird thing. COVID happened last year. I was starting to establish this brand. I couldn't get out and tour on my EP or do anything like that, but it's allowed us to get creative about what we're doing. Things like this, podcasts and stuff like that, man, people are listening to these things and circulating them around. I'm able to do video and live stream and it's amazing. And it's really kind of taught people, you shut down the country, but you have made people like ourselves, creative people, be creative. What have you done? Like, I can't wait to see, what blooms out for the rest of this year and the years to come because of this past year and what happened, So what would you tell me a Charlie Argo stage show looks like in
let's say 2 years from now, what am I going to see when curtain is pulled back? Is it a stand-up bass? Is it a piano? Is it a steel? Is it backup singers? Is it a drummer and a great percussion session? What can I expect to see? When you look at that blank canvas and you start throwing your oils at it, and you want to create your masterpiece of just your stage, what's it going to look like?
I run a 6-piece band right now, and that's organ, piano in one, slide guitar. I have an electric guitar player, just regular lead. I play acoustic and a bass and a drummer. I would love to add horn section, and I would love to add backup singers, for sure. So that would be my dream stage. Would be that a horn section with at least 3 different horns, trombone and trumpet and saxophone. And then, I'm talking like Allman Brothers style, stage setup.
So like really a jam band, soulful jam band, but with...
Yeah, but just that, the feeling that just takes you to church.
Let me ask you about another band of your opinion on the Zac Brown band, Georgia-based band, unbelievable band with 14 or 15 number ones, great originals, unbelievable at covers.
Right.
But when you said that, what you just said about, when I've seen some of their live shows, amazing musicianship and choreography and everything that goes into it. Are you a fan of that style of music? And because when you read the history of that band and what Zac did and how they came about, same way, they're just putting themselves out there. And then boom, they set the record for selling out Fenway Park 3 nights in a row, right?
Right.
That's 120,000 people, 40 a night. What does that drive you? I know that you're staying in your lane, but there's got to be influence, right?
Oh yeah. And when I say stay in my lane, I'm talking of people that I put on the same level as myself. You know what I mean? There comes a time where I look at somebody like, okay, they're at a totally different level. I'm not trying to compare to that yet, and I'm not trying to compare to anyone right now, but it happens because, just human about stuff. But, man, yeah, love Zac Brown band. And one you talk about their covers. One of my favorite covers that they do is "Can't You See" on I think it's a Passage R album that they did, and it's just incredible. But they're able to do that. The band that they have, they're just so versatile in what they can do with the fiddle and all that is just incredible. But yes, I do lean towards that setup for sure.
That setup. And vocally, what is your background? You said you were singing in some bars down in Alabama around the college town. Are you trained? Did you have a vocal coach?
No, I never have. I still think.
Did somebody just tell you that you sound good when you sing?
Man, I'm not gonna lie to you. This is whenever I grew up in the church singing, so I was in a children's choir, and just always had that child's voice. Every kid to me can sing. Like it's just you put 10 kids together, they sing together. It sounds like kids singing. One day I was probably 8 or 9 years old, and we had this play, and there was a solo that came up, and I just remember listening to the CD, put it in, and the way the plays worked when we were in children's choir was you got a book and you got a CD. The choir director said, all right, go home, listen to this for a couple weeks. We're going to come back. We're going to start assigning parts. This is your speaking part. This is your solo. This is this. And I would go home and I'd listen to it. Like, man, what's good for me? There was this one song, and it was one of the most soulful songs that I'd ever heard. And I told my mom, said, I want to sing that song. She said, well, we'll go back and you can tell her that that's the one you want to sing. So I did, and I kind of trained myself to sound like that person on the tape. And that's kind of, I did that for years. I would try my best to try to sound like people until I really found, who I truly was. I was playing covers for years. Some of my biggest influencers, Greg Allman, one of the biggest, Sam Cooke, Otis Redding, some of the greats from, the Motown era and all that as well. That Muscle Shoals sound too is just huge for me. Getting into people now, Travis Tritt, grew up on him as well. And it's just have a plethora of people that I've kind of incorporated into my voice and the way that I say things and the way that I sing things. And I've taken from me trying to sound like somebody singing a song to incorporating the way that I say certain words in my songs that's made me who I am right now, as complicated as that was.
No, I think it's great.
But if that makes sense.
No, it makes
No,
a
I was
ton of
not
sense.
vocally trained though. I was trained by my influences on how to, John Mayer's a big influence of mine. And I think I enunciate words kind of like he does because he got me through a lot of things, and I hear him playing in my head. I listen to him so much, middle school and things like that. So it's just, I don't know, just a lot of things that I've incorporated from other people.
How old are you, Charlie?
28.
28, and you've been in Nashville for 4 years?
Mm-hmm. Almost 5, yeah. 5 years this year.
I asked the Sweet Tea Girls this before you got here. Your parents, this is a pipe dream to them, or they're supportive as heck?
Tell you this, my parents got divorced when I was 2 years old. My dad lived down South Alabama, so kind of traveled to see him once, twice a month type thing. Grew up with my mom. She raised me and my brother in pretty conservative home. Went to church anytime the doors were open. They're washing windows on Tuesday. We're going to go watch them wash the windows type thing. And, we'd go to my dad's house, and it was, totally opposite thing. My dad was he was living the bachelor life and doing his thing. So it was, I kind of had the, best of both worlds growing up. When I say that to say this, parents being supportive, my mom has always been supportive in anything that I did. As far as, being in the bar scene in college and playing the music that I was playing and being in the atmospheres that I was being, wasn't very supportive in what I was doing and the lifestyle I was living and things like that. My dad just kind of always been along, rooting for that. But once again, my mom was supportive in anything that I wanted to put my mind to. I'm not saying she didn't support me, but now it's equal parts. I feel, pursuing a dream of mine. Of course, your parents want you to be, stable and financially well and this and that and normal or quote unquote status quo normal of going to college and doing this. And, I've had to have conversations with my parents, and people don't stick in jobs 30 years like they used to. I had to have this conversation with my granddad not too long ago when I lost my job. I was like, son, what you going to do? What are you going to do about that insurance and this and that? And you need to get you a job that you can stick in and for the long haul. And I said, Granddaddy, you don't understand. I said, I've got friends that work from their phones. As hard as that is for you to fathom that, it's such a different time. People don't work at Regions Bank and First Alabama Bank like you did for 30-something years, It's just a different time and place, and people are, hot jobs. It's a thing now.
And then you throw
people
COVID
get tired
on top
of things.
Of that, and you got all these offices closing down. Everybody's
We're working from home. Yeah,
on
so it's just like whatever. But to answer your question, yes, family does support it. Is this, something that, they would love to see me excel at? Yes, because they want to see me be happy, and they ultimately know that would make me the happiest, for sure.
So you got the shirt, you got the unbutton, you got the hair, you stay in good shape, you're a good-looking guy.
Thank you, man.
Aesthetically is important. Aesthetics are important in this business. I want you to answer this in a two-part question is, are you vain? Because there is that song about this song is about you. Mm-hmm. Vanity's big in life.
Oh, yeah.
You take care of yourself for a reason in this game. Everybody calls it the Tim McGraw effect. I've heard people refer to it as like what Tim looks like now. People are like, you want to stay, you want to have a long career, you got to be healthy. But there is also the part of this city and this lifestyle that you kind of mentioned just a second ago, that your mom might not have supported your locations or the habitat or the environment that you were playing in. Did this city right here get you? Because this city, 7 nights a week, has a way of getting you. Now, it's up to the musician, it's up to the artist to control this and discipline themselves, all right? Especially when you don't have the management, you don't have the agent, if you're just now starting, there's a lot of stuff you got to learn on your own. Did you fall into that trap of Broadway on Friday and Midtown on Thursday and the Gulch on? Did you party a lot here? Do you party a lot? Is it a part of the lifestyle that you've accepted, or do you have to hone that in and be like, look, there's a time and a place for that. I'm still gonna have fun and enjoy myself, but I am gonna work out. I am gonna take care of myself. I do want to be alive until I'm 90, and I do want to have a long career, right? As long as my mind's there, I want to be healthy. How do you look at stuff like that?
Man, I dealt with confidence issues my whole life. Confidence in myself, confidence in the way I looked, and moving to Nashville really kind of changed the game for me. in part because I was always in long-term relationships. In a relationship before I left Alabama, I was 220 pounds when I left Alabama. And, you know, that was due to partying scene and just not sleeping right and just being completely unhealthy college kid. You know what I mean? And so I moved up here. I got my job that I was working at, and I decided, you know, okay, I'm up here. I'm single now. You know, I need to be getting in shape, not only for that, but I need to start working on my confidence and who I am. And that was huge for me. And as a man, I think that's a big, you know, kind of defining moment whenever it's just you and yourself, and you're telling yourself like, hey, I need to, you know, figure out who I am. I need to, you know, feel better about myself. I want to be able to walk into a room and you know, and not worry about how I look or anything. I want that to be behind me. So I started making steps to that. Yes, this town is a party town. Can you get lost in this town in the party? Yes, you can. I've done it. There is a time and place where you have to kind of snap out of that. I mean, it can still, you know, people call you all the time. Hey, man, I'm in town. I'm coming into town. Where you at? Dude, you were up here long enough. You're going to have people doing that every week, especially before COVID happened. I mean, it was every weekend. I would get a message from somebody I hadn't talked to in 7 years. Hey, buddy, we're coming up. It's like, I didn't even know you were 21 now. They're like, but cool, but come on up. I mean, I'm not going to meet you, but have fun. You know, I can't, you know, I have FOMO more than anybody I've ever met in my life, man. I can't.
I could challenge you.
I can't do it. You know, it's so hard for me. Me and my girlfriend, you know, we battle that too about talking about that. And it's like, geez, like sometimes I literally lay in my bed just like buzzing off of FOMO, like I know I don't need to be out. No, I don't need to be out. What if I miss out of this, that, this,
what
that?
What if a door could open tonight?
Ben and them were out the other night, and him and Jade FaceTimed me. Man, that killed me because I knew I had to be at work the next day, and I couldn't do that. And I was like, I just can't. I can't do it. And I talked myself out of it. And then the next day, I see all this stuff that happened, and I'm like, gosh, I should have done it. Just one of those times that I actually should have. But man, yeah, it's a balance. It's part of the mental thing that I was talking about earlier. And truly, if you want it, you'll make it happen. If you want, you know, to look the part, you'll make it happen. And I do believe that it is a thing here in town. Everybody kind of has their own look, but you know, it's been cool for me to be able to, you know, Brent has the long hair and you know the look that he has, and you know, I have the curly hair that, you know, it's just, I don't know, it's something different. And I was able to kind of create a brand around that. And people tell me all the time, like, hey, man, I saw a guy look just like you the other day. I said, what, do you have curly hair? Yeah, man. Like, you did. Like, that's it. Just curly, you know, but it's like, just kind of set that standard kind of myself, if that makes sense. I got it in my mind that I wanted to feel good about myself and put that out there. You call it vain, call it whatever you want. It makes me feel good about myself, and that's all that truly kind of matters to me, you know? So I hope that answered that.
100%. I often think about my life because, you know, you travel to North Dakota next week for a duck camp, and I've been in Montana to duck camp. And before Montana, the people in Montana were saying, can't wait for you to get here, looking forward to it. But I was already on this party in California duck camp. So by the time I get to North Dakota, they're ready because they've been looking forward to it. And it's the same theory you're talking about, right? It's like, man, sometimes you just have to let out and be like, look, I can't do it. But then you start talking about FOMO, which is the fear of missing out, in case any listener doesn't know what Charlie was referring to.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah.
But it's like, man, what doors could I have opened tonight? What if I don't go? What if somebody's there? And it's like that. Then you start dealing with all of that nightlife part of it, and what Willie Nelson wrote and sang about. You know, those guys partied a lot, and I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that. Willie's almost 90 years old. Waylon died pretty young. There is a part of this though that.
Mick Jagger.
Could you do it without that, though? Because that rock star lifestyle, that country music lifestyle, it's fun, man. This town is fun. We were at Losers last night, and I was just looking around going, God dang, it's fun here. I don't have anything like this where I live.
Yeah.
Nothing. And this, if I lived here, I would, I often think of our good friend Leith Lofton is like, Leith used to go out all the time. He never goes out anymore.
Yeah.
You love Leith. He's awesome,
Leith's
right? Talented too, right?
Yes, he is.
But I just often think of my mindset of how if I lived in Nashville, it'd probably be like anything else, to where it's just Nashville to the people that live here.
It is.
But when you haven't been here in a good year since COVID started, I hadn't been here since February of 2020, right before COVID started. And it was a blast then, and I couldn't wait to get back. And then last night, or I should say this morning, I woke up and went, damn, I got Nashville. I got it. I think that you have to discipline yourself because it'll eat you up. And I've seen artists that don't adapt to it very well and let it get to them.
And get sober.
Well, yeah, they got to get right.
Yeah, no kidding.
When you start thinking about the part of it the vanity part of it and the city part of it and the discipline part of it, you've already mentioned that this is a business to you. Do you get? I want to make sure that I word this in the right way. When you start to think about the possibilities, what can happen? Have you battled ego at all on the other side of the spectrum? Because you already said that you battled confidence issues with your appearance and being overweight at one time and not being able to walk into a room feeling good about yourself. Now that you are in good shape and you do have an EP out or you do have a publishing deal and all of the things that you've accomplished, does ego ever play a role in this or ever get in Charlie Argo's way?
Of course it does, and I think it does for a lot of artists. But I'll tell you one thing that ego really got in the way of for me is truly finding who I was as an artist. Finding out who I was as an artist, now the ego part doesn't, affect it as much, but the ego got in the way of me trying to figure out who I was, comparing myself to other singers, like trying to say, oh, I want to sound like this. I want to sound like this. Like, I think I'm, feel like I'm better than that or this and that, man. Once I finally solidified who I am as an artist, kind of set myself in that box of genre of Southern soul. Now, man, the ego thing is seriously, it's not as much. Obviously, kill a show, you killed it, you feel like you killed it. But as far as just walking around with a big head, I mean, my hair can't get any bigger. So no, not as much anymore. Now that I've kind of found who I am.
And who do you think that at 28 you got to be approaching the next stage of your personal life too? I talked to the Sweet Tea Girls a little bit about this. They're so young. But that's a timing again. Now you have a girlfriend. I don't know if you're in love, but you might be. You're a guy that believes in romance. I can tell by the way you write songs.
Right.
Kids are a natural next step. Marriage is a natural next step. But at the same time, all of that, and what I was talking to the Sweet Tea Girls is that at 24, 22, and 22 years old, I'm like, a lot of Southern girls are married by that time, right? And having kids. And they even said that a lot of their friends had went that route. But now at 28, do you start getting that kind of pressure from whether it's the family or her family? Do you see that as a natural progression in this? Because that is naturally going to slow things down professionally if it just happens with kids and marriage and all of that. There's other sacrifices or there's other responsibilities that come with that part of it. When you go from ego, now you start talking about greed, where some of us have been caught in that greedy stage of our life of like, just give me another year. I'm going to make it. How do you look at that? Because now you could take the chance of missing out on that part of your life. And I'm not saying that you need to be in a hurry to have kids. Don't get me wrong. But it's a decision, right?
I get it. It's a decision that I think about every day. That, man, you nailed it. That is a tough. My girlfriend, I'm in a pretty great circumstance. My girlfriend's got 2 kids. She's got two kids that are, in their teens right now. So that's something obviously, we talk about, we talk about the next step, but it's something we also talk about, man, is COVID didn't also change things, but time is changing things and goes back to what I was talking about the job situation, talking to my grandfather. Naturally you think, oh, you finish high school, you go to college, you get married, you have kids, you do this, that. That's, that's steps that are kind of placed on us because that's the way that you're supposed to live life. I think if you take that aspect out of it, it's a lot easier to be 28 and think to yourself, hey, I got 2 more years before I'm 30. I need to either figure this music thing out or figure out my full-time career, or you know what I'm saying? I mean, that's what drives that anxiety. That's what drives that depression and things that I spoke about earlier, is that constant fear of tomorrow, the constant fear of next year, the constant fear of 2 years from now, where am I going to be, instead of truly focusing on right now and this. Is that real? Yes, that's real. I'm going to think about it. It's something I think about a lot, but it's more of a mental thing too that I've just had to train and tame myself about. that just to know, like, no, I don't have an end goal at like, hey, if I don't make it in music by 33, I'm going to go do this. You know, I try not to think that far ahead now. I've always been a one that thought along down the line, and I realize that that's what, you know, caused a lot of my.
But also,
my
do you want to
depression.
have kids when you're 45, or do you?
No, I don't want to have
have
kids when I'm 45.
So the question lies is, do you ever find yourself saying, I'm going to make that decision soon? And you mentioned the age of 30, which I didn't have kids until I was 33, 34. But it's real. Like that whole mindset
It
to a
is real,
man
man. You're right.
is you have fatherly instinct. Like you do want kids, but you also, and I talk about this a lot, Charlie Argo, and maybe someday you'll write a song on this because I think about this word a lot.
I'll write it down.
I think about this a lot. Like my mind is flooded with thoughts about individuality. And where I'm going with that is that a lot of the times in our lives, we lose our individuality because of a relationship, kids. None of this is to the negative. I love my daughter is my life. Everybody that knows me knows that Alyssa is my number one. She is my life, right? So, but I've never let Alyssa get in the way, which she never would, of what I wanted to achieve in life. Because I was also put on this earth. Just like Alyssa was brought into my life, she's going to achieve a lot of goals in her life.
Right.
I'm still achieving goals. So that word individuality is always in my mind, Charlie Argo, because I think people start living for this and just this. And they're like, they look back and they're like, dang it, man, I was supposed to do some shit too. And I'm not saying that marriage isn't the greatest thing on earth. And I'm not saying that a family of 5 with a white picket fence isn't the greatest thing on earth. It is awesome.
Yep.
But I see a lot of people that stop doing what they were meant to be doing because they put all their eggs in that basket. Does that make sense to you? Like, I think about individuality a lot and how easy it is for us to lose it when we were also put on this earth to achieve things.
Man, that is a struggle for sure, and I get what you're saying 100%. It's cool too that, you know, my girlfriend, she truly supports everything that I do, and we talk about this a lot and talk about, you know, furthering on. She, you know, tells me all the time, it's like, I don't care, you know, what you do, be happy. That's, you know, the ultimate goal, because us being happy, you know, separately first, and then sharing that happiness together is ultimately how a relationship, you know, is gonna work and proceed on. But man, I don't know. Yeah, I think about that a lot. That's a hard one.
Individuality is a very tough word to define of who we are, because
what we let come in between.
Yes, 100%. And it's almost like, did my dad do that? Because I look back before my dad passed and I'm like, well, holy shit, he's talented as hell. But everything that he did was about his 3 boys.
Yeah.
And thank God that he did, because it helped us in our paths. But I look at him like, man, I wonder if my dad did everything that he wanted to do, because he had us so young. Did he ever really live out what he was put on earth to do?
Yep.
And maybe he was put on earth to raise 3 boys. You know what I mean? It's like a weird. It's a mindset to me. It's kind of a one of those things to where I find myself thinking like, am I supposed to be doing this, or am I supposed to be married with 4 kids right now and living that American life? You know, that American dream life of the family and the picket fence. I don't know, because I have a lot of my married friends that come up to me and go, "Don't stop doing what you're doing."
Oh,
Don't
I
stop
do that
doing
all the
it.
time. They come to me all the time. Yeah.
Don't give up. Not that they're not happy with where they're at, but I always thought, man, my friends are going to look down on me because I'm not at all the family picnics. I'm not in the wrestling club with the son and the fathers. You know, and that's how I grew up. I grew up in that atmosphere that family was everything.
Right.
You went to families for dinners. Well, now it's me and my daughter, and I'm single. So it's just me and my daughter. And I ask myself all the time, is this where I'm supposed to be? Or did I put my career too much before now here I am in my 40s and I'm lonely? I don't know if that makes sense. And I'm not saying lonely in a sad way. I'm saying that naturally I get lonely because all I do is work.
Yep.
You know, but that individuality kept me working. But I also failed at a marriage.
Sacrifice one for the other.
Yeah.
You know, it's almost like you just can't have it all.
You can't.
And but I don't know. Maybe you can.
Well, let's think of people that do have it all. Who are they? Garth went through a divorce. Faith and Tim have it all. Do they?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Are they happy?
I don't know. I don't know. That's what I'm saying, is that there's a lot of artists and celebrities or professionals that we all see it, the divorces, and it's all in the, it sucks that it is out in the public eye.
Dolly Parton's probably the only perfect one that I know of.
She is perfect.
Man,
she is perfect. She is perfect. She's
never put her husband out there, you know, to let anybody know who he was or anything like that. It's just, I don't know. Everything she did was just genius and great.
I just always ask myself, Charlie, like, I think I've been thinking about this during this talk because of how we started it down this path. But I sit at night and the question I ask myself the most is, am I really doing what I'm supposed to be doing? Because if you look at it from the outside in, I've got a pretty good life.
Yeah.
I get to do a lot of cool things. But then me looking outside from inside this life, I'm like, damn it, man. Ben's got MJ and they're riding in the truck together. They're going to Louisiana together on a jet.
To go ride.
They get to hug each other on an airboat. And all I do is get to hug my shotgun. And it's a weird mindset because it's not like, oh, a pity party. It's just like, should I be concentrating more on that? And he knows, Ben knows, I struggle with this a lot because I'll meet a girl and I'll think, oh, yeah, this is the one. And then I always find a way to F it up.
Right. And I'll be honest with you, I work a full-time job now. So it's literally that with me again. Like, I told you I got displaced back in July. 6 months went by. Now I'm back working full-time. So, yeah, I see it all the time. I see, all these guys going out, well, we got to leave on Wednesday. We got a show this weekend, blah, blah, blah. We're going to hit 2 other venues this way that we can get exposure down through this state and do this. And it's like, damn, like, am I doing the right thing? Like, I'm able to fund my next album and do this and do that. But, is it worth that? Is it worth what the exhaustion that I get from my job during the day and not being able to, write that many days in the week or that many evenings in the week because I'm so tired from this job? I mean, it does. It wears on me, man. Like I left my job today, came here to do this podcast and then have a show tonight for 4 hours, So it's like, it's just, I don't know. It comes to a point where you're like, do I sacrifice something for the other? But then I'm scared to do that because I'm scared of, I don't know what, not having the funds to be able to do this or not having that security blanket of this and that. And it's just, that's a constant fear.
That's what life is all
and
about.
It's exhausting.
That's what being a songwriter and an artist and the sacrifice and a worker and a dad and a mom and a boyfriend and all of the things that go into this thing we call life. And where I was trying to wrap this all back around to say this, Charlie Argo, is that we have built a society now that we can critique whoever we want. We can judge whoever we want. We can say things without any accountability. We can message somebody that we think we know, that we really have no idea who that person is. We feel like we're part of The Rock's life because The Rock has a DM deal on his Instagram. The Rock ain't going to call you back. And we've built this whole mindset that we have to keep up with the Joneses. We have to keep up with success. We have to have more. I was just in Georgia looking at my buddy's place, and I'm very transparent about this kind of stuff. And I'm like, God dang it, man. I thought I was doing good. And the first thing that went through my mind was I didn't know any of this. I did not know that he had this. And you know why? Because the son of a bitch don't put it on social media.
Yep. He didn't post a picture of that boat.
And we got hacked. 9 months ago or something and lost like 7,000. Here I go with these terms of social media. 7,000 or 8,000 followers. We lost 4,600 posts of content on our Instagram page. Came back strong. I said, we got our account. I got a, what's it called? The hacker and the anti-hacker? Not the anti-hacker, but the other guy that hacks the hacker. That guy. I found a hacker to hack this hacker. This hacker hacked this hacker and got my account back.
No kidding.
But the kid got me. He left 6 pictures in my archives. You know how you can go to video archives, story archives, and archives? He had 6 pictures, and I still have them in there. He erased all my archives and left 6 pictures of himself smiling at me. And I was like, this little motherfucker, like I'll never find him. But what it taught me was so now we build it back up. We've gained 17,000 followers or something. Since that, we're working hard at it. But what it did to me is that he also quit following all of my pages. So I was following like 1,100 or something accounts. I follow 51 now, and they're all my partners. You or whoever, musicians or whatever.
Right.
It's the best thing I ever did. What I mean by this is we keep
it
up with
relevant.
people without even knowing we're trying to keep up with people. And now people go, man, did you see that shit The Rock did? I go, no, what are you talking about? Oh, he did this. I like, holy shit, I don't know. I have not heard Dwayne Johnson's name since we got hacked because I don't have social media.
Right.
So what does that tell you? He's not on the
And it was
team
a subliminal thing anyway because you're just scrolling through it,
all
seeing
the
it,
time.
yeah.
And now I don't know what Kevin Hart's doing, and I don't give a shit what Kevin Hart's doing. I don't know what The Rock's doing, and I know he's a hard worker, and I know that people are inspired by him, but I don't need The Rock to be inspired.
You're able to mind your own business now.
And I brought this full circle. When you said that, that's what we need to do.
Yep.
That's how you build a career. That's how you become the ultimate of yourself, is by becoming one with yourself and being able to lay down at night and take that deep breath and knowing that your soul is filled with happiness, is not comparing yourself, because it doesn't matter. Because at the end of the day, that song that you sang to start this is as pretty, if not prettier, than any song Luke Combs or Garth Brooks has ever sang. I'm not saying that they're not good. They're beautiful too. But at the end of the day, it's all about timing and work ethic and treating people right to get that exposure needed to get there.
Agree.
You can't take anything away from what Garth Brooks did. The man worked his butt off. He even took time away to raise his family, which is very admirable. He left for like 20 years and still came back and sold like 7.7 million tickets on one tour, right? So it all comes full circle to just stay in your lane, bro. I love what you started off with this. I think it's very well said and executed it the right way. I think that that's the best way you can carry out a plan. I truly do. Stay in your freaking lane. And that's what we did by not following these accounts. I just said, we're going to do us. We are going to do us. I think it makes total sense.
Yep.
I really do. I really think that it's the best thing that I ever did was stop following so many people.
That's awesome. I don't want to get hacked at all because we're working so hard on it too. But I get what you mean about that. About doing
Don't
that.
get hacked.
It will. How do you keep from getting hacked? I mean, I'm not trying to get on a rabbit trail from that. Can you?
Well, there's I can hook you up with my guy that did it.
Yeah, please do.
But that's called like double and triple wall security.
Wow.
You know how I got hacked? I'm honest. I fell for it. I got duped. So we work with tons of people like yourself. So I'm constantly signing authorization of publishing rights, or if you're allowed to use this song on this, you can use 30 seconds on that. So once in a while, we'll get a message from YouTube that says we're having an issue with publishing rights or authenticity of your acknowledgement or permission to use this song. Okay, so I get this private message in Instagram that says copyright provisions and infringements have been executed by this account. I fell for it. I clicked on that because I'm thinking, I'll just send them the note from whatever artist they're referring to, so they don't think I'm ripping music off. And as soon as I clicked on that deal, dude, the next thing I know, that like my first 4 posts were like an Eastern Indian guy standing next to a yellow Ferrari. And I was like, oh my, and I'd erase it and another one would pop on. And I was like, oh my gosh, I just got duped. It was all my fault.
Dang,
but I thought
man.
I was just being legitimate, like trying to follow the rules.
You're going through the motions too of what you're what you're used to.
And they got me. But man, I enjoyed this, dude.
Me too.
I'm proud
Thank
for
you for having me, Chad. Appreciate it.
Let's
so
do it
much.
again.
Yep.
I love your music.
Thank you.
Which one do you want to go out on?
Thanks for listening.
Which one do you feel like? Let's do something a little upbeat, because we started off, I think our conversation kind of followed Tennessee Will. I really do. I think that we stayed in that state of this is real life. Now get us fired up for a Saturday night, or is it Friday night? Friday night in Nashville. I don't even know what day of the week it is. What do you got? I'm going to go out with this, Charlie.
Do a
Argo.
song called this is not on the EP. This hopefully is going to be on the next full-length album. A song called Whatever It Takes.
Hold on one second before you go into this. Whatever It Takes, Charlie Argo. You can find Charlie Argo on Instagram at Charlie Argo.
Charlie Argo, yeah.
ARGO. This is the man. I'm telling you, when he says Southern Soul, it's a pretty good box to be in. I kind of want to be in a box that says Southern Soul. I love the South. I often refer to myself, Charlie, as the adopted son of the South.
There you go.
I tell people it's the best place on earth. I've been to Europe. I've been all over South America and Canada and all over. And the southeastern part of the United States is the best place on earth. The food, the people, the hunting, the fishing, the outdoors. I love it. So at Charlie Argo, website?
CharlieArgo.com, CharlieArgomusic.com. It'll all take you to the same place.
Tour dates.
Merch there, everything there. Yep.
So support this man's merch. Get a ticket when he comes close to you. Travel within, I think Tinder is 100 miles. So do a Tinder date with Charlie Argo. Be willing to travel up to 100 miles to see this man. And ladies,
Megan might be there too.
That doesn't mean a girl trying to get a Tinder date with this man. That's just, use that as a reference. Megan will smoke you if you freaking try to mess with Charlie Argo. We're going to go out with a song. This has been another episode of This Life Ain't For Everybody podcast, brought to you again by the one and only. I'm holding a bottle of the Foul Life Single Barrel Select Jack Daniels.
Fancy.
We are headed to Lynchburg, Tennessee from Nashville, Tennessee the day after tomorrow to chase turkeys with all of the heads of Jack Daniels. Can't wait to get there. Thank you, Jack Daniels, for supporting us. Thank you all so much for the downloads and subscriptions. Our podcast continues to rocket because of all of you continuing to like our diversity and guest topics, conversations. If you have anything you want to hear, DM us on Instagram or send us a message at info@thislifeaintforeverybody.com. I'm Chad Belding for Charlie Argo. We are going out with this song called
Whatever It Takes.
Whatever It Takes. Get to work, y'all.
'Cause I'ma take a meal on slow boat to Carolina. Taking me along fast train to Baton Rouge. I'm taking a yellow cab or bus to the big city. Girl, whatever I can take to get me away from you. Well, sometimes I think about all my decisions. Yeah, girl, I think about what made this hard to do. 'Cause I can't take it anymore. Oh, I'm gonna get up off this floor. Yeah, I'm gonna do what I can to get myself away from you. 'Cause I'ma take a meal on slow boat to Carolina. Take a meal on fast train to Baton Rouge. I'm taking a yellow cab or bus to the big city. Yeah, girl, whatever I can take to get me away from you. Yeah, sometimes I think about all my decisions. Girl, I think about what made this hard to do. I can't do this all again. Girl, I can't even be your friend. I gotta go somewhere where nobody knows our names. 'Cause I'ma take me along a slow boat to Carolina. Taking me along fast train to Baton Rouge. Taking a yellow cab or bus to the big city. Yeah, girl, whatever I can take to get me away from you. I said, girl, whatever I can take to get me away from you. It's a true story.
Damn it, boy. That's exactly what I needed to hear on this Nashville Friday night. That's Charlie Argo, y'all. Thanks for listening to This Life Ain't For Everybody podcast.